Hello, my battalion and viewers. I'm the Knight of Arcane, and to celebrate Spooky Month, today we'll be taking 4 anime characters and turning them into monsters. The pieces were extremely fun to do and came out really great. It's going to be hard to choose the best piece overall for October this year. Anyways, let's check out our anime monsters, shall we? To be a hunter means you're willing to risk your very soul to protect the world from its evils, even if it means losing your body and mind. Kofka Himeno learned this the hard way. Japan is more strict than other countries on how one can become a hunter, having many tests and qualifications one must pass to join their ranks, and you can only apply to be one until you're 30. Kofka tried very hard to become a hunter, but he kept failing the exam. Getting closer to the cutoff, he chose to help the Monster Mortuary Division, a subunit working for Japan's hunters that study and safely dispose of the bodies of monsters and their victims, making sure curses and disease don't spread, or sudden hordes of the undead appear and re-attack towns, and figure out the weaknesses of the monsters to make it easier to fight them. Surprisingly, Kofka was a natural at his studies, and was easily able to identify the different types of wounds on a person's body, and if they carry any curse or transformation. Even able to figure out weaknesses for more unconventional monsters that were found. Even then, he still had thoughts of being a hunter, especially so he could keep a promise to a friend. One day, his team was tasked with cleaning out half an entire town after a huge monster attack, with Kofka and his friend, Rino Ichikawa, checking out a house that seemed relatively unscathed, compared to the rest of the block. Inside though, they found it to be a lab, one that belonged to a mad alchemic scientist. The mad doctor singed, and was likely the cause of the various monster outbreaks that just occurred, though it had been long abandoned of any notes and works from the mad doctor. Before they could start cleaning, a spider monster jumped out and attacked Reno, getting him pretty good, before Kofka was able to figure out its weakness and kill it to save his friend. However, neither noticed as a small creature then leapt out and bit Kofka on the arm. After backhanding it into a wall, the creature seemed to just disintegrate, leaving nothing behind, though both saw the Roman numeral for the number 8 stitched on its side. Before long though, Kofka hunched over, as his body changed, growing bigger and muscular, with weird glowing sections appearing between his changing skin and the patches of fur growing on him. His face elongated and hardened into a bone-like substance, as his ears grew out and a tail sprouted behind him. Kofka had become a werewolf, one of the many were-creatures Singed had made, though Kofka kept his mental functions, much to his and Reno's surprise. He had become one of the strongest were-creatures known at the time, as proven after saving a girl and her mom from a bigger and stronger version of the spider monster that attacked him in the lab. But the downside was Japan's hunter organization didn't trust him and wanted him dead, leading to Kofka and Reno to go on the run, the duo becoming renegade hunters, or modern-day Ronin, hoping where they can to save people. Since then, other hunters have learned of this and have assisted the two, while some, including myself, are working to change Japan's hunter organization for the better, so Kofka and the others like him can be allowed to help people without prejudice. Though I wonder what other were experiments were made by the Mad Doctor, I'm glad it was a good person like Kofka Himeno who became this werewolf number 8. There are many outlaws and criminals that decide to risk themselves at sea, then face their crimes on land. Pirates, privateers, and other such scoundrels, risking the horrible storms, dark waters, and fierce monsters that lurk in the seas for their freedom, glory, and to avoid justice. A long time ago, a pirate named Golden Raja ruled the seas and was considered the Pirate King, with many flocking to his crew in hopes to become as powerful and feared as him. One lowly crewmate was a man named Buggy, who the crew treated poorly and was used as entertainment for the crew, forcing him to dress like a clown and perform different gags and tricks to give them a laugh, calling him Buggy the Big-Nosed Clown. Originally, Buggy joined in the hopes of getting treasure, gold, jewels, and to become a feared pirate himself. But compared to many of the other members of the crew, he was a nobody. One day, while loading a haul of hidden treasure onto their ship, Buggy found a strange necklace, hidden in the wall of a cave. It was strange, and almost seemed to glow, with something not seeming right about it. But Buggy just saw it as something he could sell for a good bit of cash. However, another crewmate came around, wondering what he was doing, so the clown hid the necklace in his mouth, before he then accidentally swallowed it. Buggy originally planned to wait and let nature take its course, but a week later, the entire ship and crew went missing, with most never seen again. A year later, Golden Raja was found, before he was tried and executed, seemingly the only survivor of whatever befell his crew. But centuries later, pirates have been looking for Raja's treasure to no avail, and have instead found something else. A ghastly ghoul, a zombie of rotten flesh and blue hair, lips red with makeup or blood, who's to say, and a big red nose on his face. Buggy the Clown somehow became a zombie, though not without acquiring a few tricks, it would seem. Zombies are a common ghoul, usually brought back by magic or through alchemic science, with the level of intelligence they retain varying from zombie to zombie, and from which process was used and such. Buggy had kept his mind and self, for the most part, going all in on the clown theme he hated and embracing it, though he is a little mad after all these centuries. For some reason, the undead clown is able to move and reattach himself on a whim, somehow able to control his body parts in the air and make them seemingly float, unbound by gravity. While the zombies can reattach and control their limbs when not attached, this control in the air is not common. We believe this is due to the necklace he swallowed, most likely cursed in some way, allowing him this ability on top of his undead form. Now, Buggy the Zombie Clown roams the high seas as the captain of a ship of undead clowns, attacking ships and ports for treasure and trying to become the immortal Pirate King. Just don't bring up his nose. Apparently he's sensitive about that. Probably because his real one is rotted away and all he has left is his clown nose. Just a quick reminder, we have a Patreon set up. It's a great way to help support the channel. As a patron, you get access to monthly art polls, early access to content, and monthly art-related rewards, starting with character headshots. So if you can, head over to our Patreon to become a patron, starting at $3 a month. Every little bit helps. Anyways, now back to the monsters. For some, being a monster is not a choice, or something forced upon them by a scratch, bite, or experiment, but are instead born as one. with some even being born to humans with no monster blood in their veins. Himiko Toga was born centuries ago to a normal family in Japan, but for some reason, she had a weird obsession with blood. Her parents tried their best to hide it and suppress her oddities through her tutors, but the urge for blood stayed in the back of her mind. One day, while walking home with a friend, their friend was attacked by a venomous snake. Himiko once heard about sucking the poison out to help treatments, and started to do that to save her friend. But, once the blood met her tongue, she felt something she had never felt before. A weird sense of joy, pleasure, but also a need as she continued to suck the blood. But she got a hold of herself and stopped, not noticing how her skin got a bit more ashen pale, or how her left eye was changing to match the same shade as her friend's eye color. Her parents were disturbed by this and were able to hide this truth about their daughter from their neighbors, and made sure their daughter stayed away from any blood, be it wounds, small animals, or even meat, forcing her to be vegetarian for a long time. Years later, though, an arrangement was made between the Toga family and another family for her to wed their eldest son, Saito. Himiko was excited. She had seen Saito from afar many times, and had formed a crush on him. But she could never express this, so she repressed these feelings. Yet something else had formed, a different hunger, that had been repressed for all these years, since that fateful day. During the engagement ceremony, the two were allowed to talk alone, and all the while, Himiko felt the hunger grow more and more, trying so hard to repress it, until Saito accidentally cut himself. It was a small cut, practically a paper cut, but once the smell hit Himiko's nose, she couldn't help herself. Like a shark when it senses blood, she went into a frenzy, latching herself onto his neck and drinking his blood. The commotion was heard and people rushed in to find Himiko over the dead body of Saito. A look of ecstasy on her face as bat-like wings formed on her head, her ears becoming pointed, and her skin changing into that ashen pale color. Yet, half of her face started to look a lot like Saito's, even her hair partially changing to look like his. Himiko Toga is a vampire, though no one is sure how, as no sightings of one was reported during the time she lived in that village, no punctures were found on her neck, and her family has no history of being vampires. It has been decided that Himiko is likely a natural-born vampire through mutation, but one that's very unique. When Himiko drinks someone's blood, she can transform herself into that person for a time, with the amount needed to fully transform into them being a bit lower now compared to when she first started to drink blood. Himiko fled into the night, while her family was left to be staked and burned, believing the Toga family to be cursed with the vampires first, though we now know it was only Himiko with this curse. She is still active to this day, appearing every now and then to cause trouble, with many hunters trying and failing to capture her. A fellow hunter named Ochako Uraraka has been hunting this vampire for years now, though I suspected she was after her for different reasons than when she first went on the hunt. That was proven true when Ochako recently brought Himiko in to become a hunter, seemingly taming the vampire, though I could see the looks the two were giving each other the whole day. Himiko Toga has her hands and fangs drenched in the blood of countless people, innocent and guilty alike. but I do believe she might actually do something good with her life now, due to Ochako. Ghosts, phantoms, wraiths, and the other words for these lingering spirits, all are some of the most tragic monsters a person may face. Their souls trapped on the mortal coil, unable to pass on, and not truly alive. With only proper exorcisms, following some strict rules, allowing them to finally move. Alphonse Elric was once a boy, living with his mother and brother Edward in a simple life in the German countryside. However, when their mother died to some disease, the young brothers, distraught, tried to bring her back to life. Resurrection is highly frowned upon by most hunter organizations and people, since forcing their souls back to the land of the living can bring them back wrong and damaged, turning them into ghouls or even zombies, and can bring unwanted beings from hell into our reality. It is unclear if the brothers knew this when they used their father's old alchemic science notes and forbidden tomes the man for some reason kept locked away in the basement before he disappeared. But they went to work to bring her back, to disastrous results. The soul they brought back wasn't the mom's, as it thrashed and clawed at itself in pain, disrupting the ritual and letting a demon slip its way in. It is unknown what exactly happened next, but Edward was the only one found in their home, missing both an arm and a leg, and barely alive, repeating to himself, "Give him back, give him back." From the investigations done by the hunters, it was believed at the time that the demon took both the bodies and souls of the ghoul they brought back to life and of Alphonse, and that somehow Edward fought back against the demon, only taking his arm and leg in the conflict. However, we would learn years later this wasn't the full case, when a suit of rusted armor was found attacking some hunters, looking for Edward. It seemed Edward was able to bargain for Alphonse's soul, losing the arm and leg in the process, but without the proper body to put the soul in, Alphonse was instead cursed, with his soul haunting the armor. The damage caused to his psyche caused Edward to forget what he had done, and so Alphonse lingered, seemingly stuck in the basement for years, as Edward left their home to become a hunter, until something in his soul snapped, in rage at his brother for abandoning him and leaving him to rest alone for all eternity. Alphonse took full control of the armor and has set forth to find his brother, looking for answers as to why he left him. Why didn't he save him? Why didn't he come back? From what has been gathered from encounters with the cursed armor, there is some sort of demonic essence influencing Alphonse's soul, feeding on the anger and resentment built up by the young boy, and is likely guiding him for some nefarious purpose. We have not yet told Edward about this, which is for the best, as Mr. Elric is currently on a mission in Scotland, and should be safe from the lingering phantom of his brother. But we lost sight of the armor on the border of Germany and France, so Alphonse might have an idea on where his brother may be. Anyways, I'm willing to try this pumpkin turnover you have. Not my first choice, but it is the season for these flavors, though prefer the more classic pumpkin pie. Can't fight monsters on an empty stomach, no? And that was anime characters as monsters. I mainly got this idea from having the image of Kaiju No. 8 as some sort of skull werewolf creature, and fun fact, I decided to use Himiko because on the day I was deciding who I was going to use for this, the MCJ did his Himiko and Millie fusion stream. and I would later find it funny that a commenter suggested he also use her if he did an anime monster video himself. And she came out super great. But what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments, along with other series I should turn into monsters, other anime characters you'd like to see me turn into monsters, and other ideas I can do with characters from Kaiju No. 8, One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Fullmetal Alchemist. For more monsters, we have when we turn X-Men and Deadpool into monsters, and when we turn Gummigoo into a were-crocodile in his character variety episode. And for some anime-related videos, we have turning Ninjago characters into Demon Slayers, and when we turn Ben 10 aliens into JoJo stands. In our Venomized Hell of a Boss video, we had you voting in 2 categories, and the winners are: for Best Venomized Design / Personal Favorite, the winner is Luna. And for the award for Best Shading, the winner also goes to Luna. For these monsters, we have 3 awards to vote for in the comments, that being Best Monster Design, Best Backstory, and Personal Favorite of the bunch. So let me know who should be getting these awards next week. And if you liked what you saw, then leave a like, and subscribe to join our growing little Arcane town, to be in the know for future videos, polls, and Spooky Month plans. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later!